Alright, so a little bit more discussion about my idea for sword for hire, and I'll get back into laser or a gun for hire and laser for hire later on. And by the way, the last iteration would be magic for hire, which if you're following along, you will understand. Oh wait, oh wow, that'd be pretty amazing. The idea is that you would have a classless MMO, meaning that you can do whatever you want at any time you want. Also, your character is going to have a lifespan. Your character can reproduce, and you can decide offspring. And that's the whole thing, which I mentioned. I hope I mentioned before, that your character and another character could either have offspring together, or your offspring could mingle and they have offspring. And the result is that when your character dies, you can then choose which of your family tree you want to inhabit next and control, which will be interesting because then what if you have a really awesome offspring, and you and another player would both want that guy. What would happen? So maybe you could fight it out, or who knows, or it'd be a question well, who's going to want to die first so they can go inhabit that guy, or they can get themselves killed even. But the idea of a classless, MMO is that you can basically you can be a warrior, and yet all your experience points you put into economic and management skill points. So you can be running a business and just decide, well, I want the business to run, but I don't want to always have to be sitting there inside of a thing. So you put your business points into management, and so your business is going to thrive while you're out killing things, and vice versa. You can be sitting, working a job, be managing a business of some sort, and that's where you're going to have the whole, you have a desk and a chair that your character is going to sit in. And so when you plug yourself in, your business gets a boost, and with the efficiency and whatever. So you're going to get more money and generating, and also more experience generating as well. But you don't want to spend all your time sitting around, so whatever experience you gain, you put into combat, or your combat skills. And I was thinking too that you would have a hit point cap at 100 hit points, and it never grows or decreases. What changes is your skills. So the more skill points you put into defense, and attack, and this and that, is going to affect how effective you are at basically taking somebody else from 100 points down, or how well you'll survive in a fight, if you have 100 hit points. Because remember, the different factor, or the thing that's going to be different, is your armor and your defense skills. So it's going to be this huge number crunch that's going to be going on. Let's see. So I believe, I was talking about gun for hire, and how you'd have, you're going to have area effect damage from explosives. You'll have, as a result, you can have boats running around, and new resources like oil and this and that. So the next iteration would be laser for hire, and for that one, now you can have flying machines. Something else which I don't believe I mentioned was that the other thing available to players is that they can at any time disembody themselves and have essentially a second player, and that would be basically a view avatar, and so that it's an invisible floating eye, you could say. So that way you can basically, if there's a battle going on, you can go look at the battle. And if you just wanted to scout around and not be chained down to a physical form, you can do that too. So that way you would know what's here and there, which I don't think would be a disadvantage. And that was something else, was that don't limit a player because they put more time in. In fact, you should reward players who put more time in. Unfortunately, it encourages an addictive addiction to the game. But look, we're already seeing that. So why deny it to players? The difference is that you'll have players who they'll just jump in every once in a while, and players who they'll spend a couple hours each day on the game. the players that spend all the time on the game, they're going to amass a great amount of skill and ability and power, and they can decide, well, I can either just be a solo running around killer, or I can try to establish an organization, a group. And ideally, that's what you would want. You would want or that's the kind of reward you want to offer, is that you can sit if you're going to spend all your time playing this game, yeah, why not have a little nation that you can lead and control? The problem is that it's going to require a lot of time to organize and keep everything together, and also because there's the idea that you're going to be programming, you're going to be telling or figuring out how you want your players to react and do, and so you basically have things that if we're attacked, this is sort of response I want to have happen, so that way things will happen automatically without the player having to physically click and point and drag and this and that to everything. And it's also because that's what you're going to want for when the player's offline. How is his little either economic or power empire going to remain intact? Especially if it's under since other players are going to be constantly making inroads. So that's the other key thing, is that the more power you gain, the more of a target you become. Because money will have a physical value. You can't carry around an infinite amount of gold in your pocket. It's going to eventually weigh you down. You only have so much money that you can carry in a sack, and only so much weight that your character can carry. So you're going to have a physical location to store your wealth, which also includes just items you produce, items you store, items you want to save for later. So ideally, each player is going to be creating their own dungeon, or own house, and own stronghold that they're going to keep their wealth in, and they're going to go through the various methods and methodologies of how we can keep that stuff safe. So you're going to have secret layers, you're going to have public layers, and places that will fall into disrepair and just fall apart. And you also have secret areas that players can decide on, or decide that they want. And as I mentioned before, there's the whole information, like information bits that are going to be floating around. So a player can decide, well, I'm going to build this place, by myself. I'm going to have my own guy do it. And it's going to take so long, and so the player would be kind of, you basically set your character, your avatar to, construct, your building, your home or whatever, and then you can just disembody yourself and go float around and, interact and do the chat thing. And then, tune in every once in a while. So the other aspect is that you can also log off and yet let your avatar remain in the game world. They are, of course, at risk, and that's why you have the whole safety factor. Let's see, so for laser for hire, the technology tree would be this, just like the same with sword and gun for hire, in that you can have this metal development, and then have that go into gunpowder and steam engine, and now you're going to introduce the element of energy, electricity. So new forms of technology would be available, new things you can do. Flying machines would be available. Microtechnology would be available. Nuclear power generators of various sizes and outputs would be available. A player can now enhance their physical abilities with enhancements of various sorts. So you can see bionics, and you can create an individual in a lab, conceivably as well. Hopefully the only limiting factor is well, now you can't go to space or this and that, but conceivably you can then have floating islands that just hover around, and which the ultimate irony or interesting thing would be then that somebody can go and sabotage the machines that keep it levitated, and so you can see this whole city just crash down on a piece of land. It would be horrific, but at the same time, like, wow, it'd be amazing, to witness. Imagine the amount of carnage and damage you'd see on the ground below. And it's got floating cities that are they could either be a battle station or it could be a city. And oh man, imagine. So that's laser for hire and some of the aspects for that video